That's the good stuff.
Welcome back, everybody, to Goodwill Podcasting with Connor, Dan, and Stone, your movie podcast that today is talking about The Bride. Yes, the Christian Bale, Jesse Buckley led adaptation of The Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, directed and written by Maggie Gyllenhaal, is finally out in theaters this weekend. We have seen it. We are going to talk about it. It is very controversial, which means that this conversation today is going to be very interesting, not only because of that movie, but because we also have a new guest on the podcast for the first time ever. I'm excited. I just met her before we jumped on. This is a friend of Dan's and now a friend of Goodwill Podcasting. Sumi, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
There we go.
Yes.
It would have almost been morning when we previously were going to record this, but because of daylight saving time, it messed everything up, guys. You're seeing a behind the scenes look at what happened right now, but thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
Do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself, what you like to focus on, like about your content, about your career and movies and all that?
Yeah, sure. I talk about films and fashion mostly on socials, mainly on TikTok. I recently started writing a little bit on Substack, but very much in the experimental phase over there. Yeah, I guess I like talking about films with interesting female characters the most, and indie art house is usually what I focus on and seek out the most myself.
Interesting. I was going to say immediately when you said films and fashion, there's one movie that came to my mind, but then you said indie film. So this kind of goes against that, but how excited are you for The Devil Wears Prada 2?
I am skeptical. I don't think it was ever necessary to make another one. I love the original. I think it's a great film. So I'm not like overly excited. I am going to go see it though, just because, and because I want to see what they've done with the costume design, especially for contemporary times. I loved the costume design in the previous one. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm very much going in super skeptical. I didn't love how the trailers looked, but I'm trying to keep an open mind about it.
Are you excited for Mother Mary?
I am really excited for Mother Mary.
I'm hyped for that too.
Yeah.
It looks really cool.
Yeah,
Did you listen to the song that they released? They released one with Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very. I know she wrote it. I know Charlie XCX and Jack Antonoff are behind the writing and the producing of the music. Very Charlie XCX coded, and I think right after Wuthering Heights, I was like, okay, I don't. Maybe when Mother Mary comes out, I'll like accept that back into my rotation. But I'm like, I've had enough of Charlie XCX's personally her sound currently right now. I'm a big fan of Brad though. I would say Dan, Connor. I don't know. This is a new conversation we never had. Did you guys last year have a Brat summer? I think is what they call it. Did you listen to Charlie XCX at all?
That was 2 years ago.
No fucking way, really?
Yeah, that was the summer of 24, right? Right?
Yeah, but it
yeah.
was 2.0 last year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
True.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the 2.0.
And then we had The Moment this year, which kind of tried to revive it again, which I don't know if that really. Did you like the movie, Sumi? Did you see it?
I adored it.
Okay.
I really loved it.
My lips are sealed.
Yeah.
Wow. I will say, I think she has like 7 or 8 projects coming up as an actor. And I did think like she can definitely act, and I'm interested to see like her in other
For
things.
sure. Yeah. I was really like, I mean, I knew she had the charisma for it, but I was positively surprised by the actual like skill, and I really liked The Moment. I've seen it twice already.
Nice.
Cool. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but yeah, she has another movie that I think she had premiered at Sundance that I'm going to South by Southwest this weekend, and she will have showing there as well. And I'm trying to think about what the actual movie is called. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to see it because there's just so many. I think it's called Eurupsia. That's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
So that will be like there.
Polish or something. I think it's a Polish director. I'm not sure.
His name is P-O-O-S. Kind of sounds Polish with maybe the last name.
Not sure.
So I will say one thing about The Devil Wears Prada that I thought of is that I went back and rewatched it. The outfits, you're saying you love the outfits. I love them for the time. It is crazy to look back at what they're wearing in The Devil Wears Prada and be like,
yeah,
people wore that back then. But as my brother's told me this because he's into NASCAR and racing and everything like that.
Right.
It's so interesting to me that people currently wear for fashion, their NASCAR is in fashion right now. If you go to like Abercrombie and
Yeah.
Fitch and Hollister, there's tons of clothing that have NASCAR numbers and brands on them. Even though I know the people who are probably purchasing those things at those stores do not watch it. And my brother says that's because like fashion itself like recycles every 30 years. So maybe the Devil Wears Prada 2 should have came out in like 2030, and then that would have been like perfect. The fashion would have translated right over to that decade. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. No, it's the same with Formula One, honestly. Like Formula One is having a big moment in fashion, which I love. But
Did you love the movie?
honestly, as somebody who watches the sport pretty religiously, I thought the screenplay was like absolutely ridiculous, and I really, really hated Brad Pitt's performance. I
It
could
was
not
so
see.
bad. It
I
was so
hated it
bad.
so much. I loved Damson Idris in this. He's so charismatic, so likable. And then there's Brad Pitt, and I was so disappointed. And I mean, like technically speaking, I think, putting a race or several races and translating it onto the big screen is difficult, and they did that really well. But everything apart from like no driver starts dating his engineer. That just does it's so weird. And I really liked Carrie Condon in this. So I was like, why would they take her character in this direction? I was like, this just like for women in the sport, this is a bit insulting, in my opinion.
And
I'm gonna
it
need
felt
your.
like I was gonna say quickly, it felt like the entire like the character was very intelligent and capable, and she's in this like male-dominated
sure.
space, and she's functioning on her own. But like Brad Pitt then literally comes in and like explains stuff to her that she can't get, and is like, oh, actually, like, and then they end up together, and it's like,
Mm-mm.
I don't know, but his performance was fucking horrible. Like,
I
I thought it was one of
hated
the
it
worst
so
performances of the
much.
year.
I
It was
agree.
bad. Sorry,
I
Conor.
might be reaching out to you for some help because I got looped into a fantasy F1 league this year, and I don't know
Oh my
what I'm
God,
doing.
I kind of wanted to do it, but again, I also wouldn't know because the regulations have changed completely, and oh my God, like weekend from hell this weekend.
So the gentlemen on this podcast are big sports guys, and they were part of fantasy leagues. And they asked me, Stone, do you want to be part of the NFL fantasy league? And I'm like, I don't know anything. So I think it's a good idea if I sit out. Connor, why the hell would you do that if you don't know anything about the sport?
I've done this multiple times actually where I didn't get into the NFL till like 2018, 2019. It's because I started fantasy. So
Oh,
it's also
interesting.
how I've gotten into hockey. It's just something to force me to watch the sport and then I learn it. So
Interesting. Okay.
That's fair.
There you go.
So maybe you'll become a bigger F1 fan.
yeah, that's
Through
the
fantasy.
end goal here.
Okay.
I guess
Yeah,
when
the
you're betting
season
money
just
on it.
started.
There you go.
How,
Did you know
how
that,
long is
Connor?
the season, Sumi? Like what?
Well, we had the first race last night, and it goes up until December. Abu Dhabi is the last race, so they only really
Okay.
get a break of like 3 months.
Wow.
It's pretty
Okay.
long, and it's a race almost every weekend or every other weekend. It depends, but
Okay. Damn.
I purposely asked about that movie because I'm like, okay, Sumi didn't help out Dan with the moment, but I think maybe I can get her with F1. And there you go, Dan got Dan's like, yeah. Brad Pitt
And I
sucks.
agree. Like I gave it like a 2.5, I think. Like I enjoyed, like it was fun sort of sometimes, and like I did like Damson's character, but they like progressed him and then they regressed him,
yeah.
and then he just kind of
And
sat there, and it's like, oh, what? Like I
there
don't know.
was no way that anybody would survive that big crash.
Oh yeah, I was
Like
like, he's gone.
some of the
He's
crashes and the
gone.
overtakes, I was like, what? Like this is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, this might be a perfect segue into our first thing I wanted to talk about on this episode because it is nominated for Best Picture.
Oh my
And we
God.
do have the Oscars coming up less than a week from when we are recording this. Actually, a week from when we're recording this because it's next Sunday and we're recording this on a Sunday. I guess, what is your boldest prediction that you guys have? Anything that comes to mind right away? What is the Michael B. Jordan, Timothy Chalamet thing? Is that maybe like the most interesting conversation, or do we think Timothy still has it?
When did voting close? Because I feel like it's done now.
It was like, I want to say 3 or 4 days ago, I think.
Timmy might have talked himself out of it.
I think so too. I don't know.
Oscar voting, and it ended on March 5th.
It is the
So
9th.
3
No,
days
it's the
ago.
8th.
It's the
Yeah,
8th?
3 days ago.
Oh.
So do you guys want to do predictions? What do you think for Best Actor? Or you say Michael B. Jordan?
I still haven't seen Marty Supreme, so right now it's Michael B. Jordan for me, and I'll say with all the buzz around it, I'm still going to say Michael B. Jordan.
Maybe I guess I don't know if it's a hot take. Like I don't think it's close anymore. Like I don't think Timmy has a chance to win. I think it's going to be Michael B. Jordan. And I'm happy with that. I think I saw Vets made a video about this. Something that's a shame is like, and Ethan Hawke said some like bonehead shit recently, but his performance in Blue Moon is so good. And I think it's better than Leo. I think it's better than Wagner Moura.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, I really loved it. And like he carries that movie in a way that the others don't, in my opinion. And I just feel like it's kind of he has the least chance to win. I think it's kind of a shame, but I think Michael
I,
wins.
I will say, like, he did say some bonehead stuff lately, but like when it comes to like the came to the BAFTAs, who won there, and even Michael B. Jordan winning at the Actor Awards, like it seems like Ethan's is super happy for everyone. Even I don't know,
Yeah.
has he been nominated before? That should be something I know, but he probably
For
has.
Best Actor,
Anything for the before trilogy or no?
I'm
I know
not
those are
sure.
I don't think
Wasn't he,
so, but
was he nominated for? I just blanked on the name of the movie with Denzel.
What about Boyhood? I guess
He's had Best Supporting nominations twice before,
okay, so he
but
has
no
been
Best
nominated.
Actor.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it is kind of admirable for him to be like, I'm just happy to be here. And it's kind of sad that he's just not really being considered at all. Both it's really only him because there's still like whispers, I would think, of Wagner Moura just a little bit because the actress who won for I'm Still Here is Brazilian and she won last year. And I know that the Academy has a big Brazilian fan base like around it. That's obvious from that win. So I think he might still have a chance. I don't know, like what happened to Leo. Everyone thought that he was going to be in consideration, but if Paul Thomas
performance is
Anderson,
just like
It
but
was whatever.
One Battle
to me.
After Another
yeah,
does have
like
a lot going behind it. That's sad
Also,
too. That Best Picture does seem like wrapped up, which is unfortunate. But
yeah. Also, I just wanted to quickly say he got nominated for supporting for Training Day and
That's what I was
also
like.
for Boyhood. And
Yeah.
then Before Sunset and Before Midnight got Best Adapted Screenplay.
okay,
But this is the first time. I just wanted to confirm that.
Cool.
okay. And then what about Best Supporting Actor? That's the
I
other
think that one's
pretty.
up in the air.
Mm,
I'm gonna
okay.
say honestly, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Stellan Skarsgård might take it.
That's not a bad pick. I've always really loved Sean Penn in One Battle After Another. I
Yeah.
think he's playing that character way too well.
Yes.
And I didn't think that he was going to have a chance, but then all of a sudden there's a lot of steam behind him lately. So I am curious what he'll say up there when he gets up there. I haven't seen him talk in a while, but maybe he did talk when he won those other awards. But he's an interesting guy. I will say that.
Yeah, he's a piece of work, but I do think he's going to win. I think if someone is going to sneak in and take it, it will be Stellan. But I see a lot of people saying like, I think a lot of people think Delroy Lindo has a chance to win, and I
I
try to like
wish.
manage expectations there, but like I don't think he does. Um,
No.
I like
but
Benicio
Sean
del
Sean
Toro.
Penn just has so much to do, and I think it's the best performance in the movie by a good bit. Um, so
And then
Agreed.
Amy Madigan's got it wrapped up.
oh
Maybe.
god, I don't get it, man. I don't
You
fucking
need to
understand.
rewatch Weapons. Maybe you have a third eye that will get open once you see that performance of Aunt Gladys again, Dan.
So the odds have it at 44% chance for Amy, 28% chance for Tiana Taylor, and a
Oh.
24% chance for Wunmi Masaku. So like
Oh, no
relatively
Inga?
competitive,
Like,
which I think
That's
she
my
should
favorite
probably win.
performance. Yeah,
Like
me
that's my
too.
pick. Yeah. It seems like Sentimental Value is like getting forgotten about.
Yeah, what's
Really?
like
With
incredible ensemble.
yeah.
well, I would say what other categories are there that we actually talked about this before we jumped on Sumi when we jumped on earlier
Mhm.
with the time difference and everything. I'm a big fan of K-pop Demon Hunters. I don't know if you've
I've not seen
watched
it.
Wow. Okay. So I think it's a done deal that Golden is going to win for best original song.
Right.
And I get why that is. It was literally the number one song in the entire world for the whole summer, which, yeah, that should get recognized. But thematically, I Lied to You is way more important to Sinners than Golden is to that
So good.
movie.
Incredible song.
So
Yeah.
in the terms of like what should win, it honestly should be I Lied to You, and it's not going to be. But I will say, I hope so. Miles Catton
Oh,
has performed live that song live, I believe, on like late night talk shows, and it's been a more simplified, more acoustic performance. It's not like grand and theatric like it was in the movie. I'm really hoping when it comes to the Oscars that it will be like the movie, that you will
Me
see
too.
these different eras of Black culture come out and perform, because unlike other award shows in the past where they had every single song get performed, it's only going to be those two. So I think they
Right.
have the time gap in the schedule to allow for a big performance like that. And with that, and then K-pop Demon Hunters, it'll do really good well for them when it comes to views. So that's
so
what I
too.
hope for. That's what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah, I Lied to You is at an 11% chance.
No.
So there's a
I'm guessing
chance, but
K-pop Demon Hunters is like, or
88.
Golden's like 89. Okay.
88, yeah.
Oh my God.
So the other one, just really quickly, I wanted to mention, I really want Autumn Gerald Archipel to win for cinematography. I think Sinners deserves it. I don't think a woman of color has ever won for best
Yeah.
cinematography. Women basically, I think maybe a couple women have won in history, but it's really it's such a kind of like a boys club, thing with cinematographers. But I think she deserves it, and like it's that or One Battle, and like One Battle cinematography is good, but like I feel like Sinners is really striking and really beautifully shot. So I hope she wins.
I would say Train Dreams is like the only movie that I think personally should compete with it. That movie is getting forgotten about. Ain't gonna get a thing. But I'm
I
glad
just
Yeah.
it
checked out
was
for the first time
recognized.
last week.
It's at a yeah, it's 59 30 12. Train Dreams being at 12.
Wow.
And I
That'd be
like
exciting.
cinematography of Train Dreams better than One Battle, I think.
Oh, 100%. Me too.
I would agree.
Just more notable. But I wanted to talk a little bit to, I guess, our audience about what I'm doing this week, which is pretty exciting. I'm going to South by Southwest. I think I mentioned it already, possibly in the episode. But Dan has been there. I have not been there. I've been only to one film festival in my life before, and that was Fantastic Fest, which is more horror oriented, back in September, I believe. And what is different, and Dan has told me this before, what I need to know about South by Southwest is that unlike Fantastic Fest, where the entire festival is in one theater,
Yeah.
South by Southwest is all across the city of Austin, Texas. So it's going to be tricky to try into, I don't know if I'm going to walk. I don't know if I'm going to scooter, those Lime scooters.
Scooter to Clutch. Yeah.
Might be an option. But we'll see. A friend of the podcast, Emmett, who is on for 28 years later, The Bone Temple, is going to be my roommate, which is kind of sweet. We both talked and texted that we get really self-conscious when we record in front of other people. So we have this plan set up where it's going to be like, dude, I have to record for 15 minutes, get the hell out of the house, and we're going to go for a walk or something.
Nice.
It's just how we have to do it. But I will say there's one movie that I have not been able to get. And that is a movie called Leviticus, which premiered at Sundance Film Festival. I believe it's an Australian movie. And it got a lot of good buzz from Sundance Film Festival. It's going to also be showing here, and it just got picked up by Neon. It is the only movie, even though I Love Boosters is going to be here, even though Ready or Not 2 is going to be here. Hokum is another big one. Damian McCarthy's follow-up to Oddity. Big movies. That movie has already been seen before, and it's the only thing I'm not able to get. Steven Spielberg is going to be here, which is awesome. I got a reservation to see him. He's going to be talking on the podcast, the Big Picture podcast. The host of that, Sean Fennessy, is going to be talking to him for an hour. Didn't have a problem getting that reservation. The only reservation I had a problem getting is this Leviticus movie, which I just read about, and I'm like, oh, I think that sounds interesting. So it's the only thing I'm going to be standing in line for. But Dan, what is the number one thing I got to take? Like mentally, what do I got to do?
I think just try to make sure it's a lot of work. I mean, it feels like work because the city is very spread out. It's a lot of rushing around, but I feel like just try to have fun too. I think the best part of it was like getting to hang out meet a bunch of other creators that I had never met before. Um, but yeah, just enjoy it. It goes by kind of quickly. But it's a good festival, and the city is just like sort of spread out, like we talked about. But once you like get a feel for where the theaters are and like how long everything takes and what's walkable and all, it's not bad.
Okay. I will say I try to convince you to come with us, come as well. But this man respects the art of ballet and couldn't come because his fiance is performing a show, I believe. So, and that's something we do here on this podcast, is we respect that form of art. Just wanted to put that out there. But anyways, speaking of respect, I wanted to say something that was really cool about this episode of us talking about The Bride is that we were shooting around some ideas, me and Dan, about who we wanted to have on as a guest. And Dan's like, I know a creator, and I think we should have them on because this is very much focused on a female point of view with a female director, female lead, and just the story in general. And I saw on somebody's Instagram story today. Now, this is bad that I didn't know this, but it's actually International Women's Day.
It is International Women's Day.
Dan, you came in clutch, man. Look at you, man.
I think it's like the month too. Like I think March is like Women's Month, and then I think there's a day that like
Ooh.
I'm gonna verify that, but
I would say I looked up National Women's Day, and that's in August, but I think that's the United States. So I'm like, am I wrong? Because I was looking it up. I was like, is this actually happening today? And then I was like,
so
maybe it's
March is a women's History Month only celebrated in the United States, Germany, and Australia, and then the International Women's Day is like part of it on the 8th, which is today.
Cool.
So you nailed it, Dan. Way to go.
Yes,
Points.
good job, me, right?
Yeah,
that makes up you messing up the time.
Yeah, but I think I think we didn't really want to have 4 dudes talking about this movie. Like, I think that would be a little like, I don't know, it's a little strange, but
I think that was a good idea.
Yeah.
So let's get into it because what were your guys' expectations going into The Bride? Because I heard there was a lot of poor test screenings, a lot of change when it came to the format of this movie. Originally, it was supposed to come out, I believe, back in September, but for maybe two good reasons it got moved. One is because it didn't want to compete with Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which makes sense. But then also, everyone's saying how this kind of lined up perfectly with Jessie Buckley and maybe her Oscar campaign. Now, we didn't talk about her when we were talking about the Oscars. She doesn't need it because
she's got it locked in.
Carve the name on there right
despite
now.
the cat comments.
She hates cats.
But like, who cares? Like,
right?
Cats are
People
annoying sometimes.
bugging out in my like freaking out at me in my like. Cat people gotta relax. Please take a breath. Like,
oh my God.
swear to God.
My wife wants a cat, and I swear if that's not a nice cat, I'm gonna be very upset. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Get a
I
quarter
don't even
track.
dislike cats, but like there are some horrible cats, like terrible cats.
I love cats, but it's like, that's like none of my business.
Yeah, it's
Like,
it's their business. Yeah, exactly.
Also, if the cat's actually pooping on her pillow, that's a fair
Yeah,
ultimatum.
like, and the cat's also obviously like not happy and it's upset. So like if that went on for, we don't know how long, it could have been 2 months of that. Like,
yeah, God knows.
the animal's miserable, and it's so silly. I don't know.
Maybe we should have a cat person on the podcast too.
You'll see me
Yeah,
crash out. I can't deal with that.
I can call my mom real quick. She saw
No,
the
but you
Bride
did-
with me last night.
I would say you did take her to see The Bride. This movie is very interesting, I will say. It is a bold swing for Maggie Gyllenhaal, especially after the Lost Daughter. Going from that to this film is a big move, and I think that she had to take this opportunity because, I mean, The Lost Daughter, I believe, was nominated for 3 different Oscars. I believe Jessie Buckley, Olivia Colman, and it was also nominated for adapted screenplay. So 3 nominations get you a blank check, $90 million retelling of The Bride of Frankenstein. The cast, I think a lot of people are excited to see Christian Bale as Frankenstein. Dan, that was a big.
Just you said
choice
the
there.
cast, and some thoughts came to my mind
Oh my
about
God.
this cast.
I mean, this is a
Because
podcast. Go ahead.
I didn't want to just jump in.
Oh, you're saying like the cast and how they perform in the movie.
Yeah,
Okay,
which
maybe
I think we'll get to. But yeah.
Yeah.
You better watch your mouth.
Oh, so here's also a big thing that you should know about that, Sumi, is that our co-host here, Connor, is a big fan of Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake
yeah.
Gyllenhaal as a part of this movie. Obviously, you have Jesse Buckley and Christian Bale, Penelope Cruz, pretty large cast, pretty popular actors in this film. And we talked about it before we jumped on, is that it's only making $77 million here in the United States, the domestic box office. So there's a lot of people who didn't vibe with this movie very well, but I do want to get into it because I have a lot to talk about. I wanted to give you a brief synopsis of the movie. Hold on, let me type up my Google synopsis that I got here. Sorry.
Can I say something really quickly, Stone, about the casting?
Oh, go ahead.
Something I was up when I was looking into, like when they first announced this movie and all, there was, I think when it was first announced, there was speculation that Penelope Cruz was going to be the bride. Like that's how it was initially reported. And then I think maybe that was just people assuming when they looked at the cast list. But she kind of ends up in this odd side role. So I'm curious if that was ever thought about or if that was just misreported when it first broke. But I don't have the answer to that.
That does give me my wheels turning in my head. I'm like, how would she have done? Would have been interesting, I will say.
Yeah.
All right. So in the 1930s Chicago, Frankenstein asks Dr. Euphronius to help create a companion. They give life to a murdered woman as the bride, sparking romance, police interest, and radical social change. Now, Sumi, you are a guest on our podcast, so we like to let our guests go first when it comes to movies. If you want to give your brief spoiler-free thoughts, and then we'll go maybe you, Connor, myself, and then Dan, just because Dan's already talked about it in the video. And I actually did watch Dan's video, so this is going to be fresh. Not because I don't like Dan's videos, just because this I wanted to hear it straight right now. But yeah, what did you think, Sumi?
Oh my God. As I was sitting there, I kept thinking this is giving me the biggest headache of my life, not in a good way. And when I walked out, I thought about literally something I did 2 days earlier, which was I made a video, and the first question I asked people in that video was, what is a film where you thought, oh my God, that was such a waste of a great cast? And that's exactly how I felt walking out of this, because I was so incredibly excited to see Christian Bale. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. So excited to see Jesse Buckley. Then I sat down. I see Annette Bening is in this. I love Annette Bening. I think she's criminally underrated. Penelope Cruz is an icon. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. Who else is in this?
Peter
Peter
Sarsgaard, John
Sarsgaard.
McFarlane.
So I was like, what happened here? And it was just really, really, really difficult for me to take about 90% of this film seriously. That is what I struggled with the most.
It's beautiful. I might post clips, or I'll probably post clips from this podcast. You might see that clip because that was perfectly said. That was good stuff.
Okay.
Connor, I don't know what Connor thought about this. So we said earlier, I think we said earlier that Connor loves Jake Gyllenhaal, and there's a certain scene in this movie where good old Frankenstein's up close to that actor, and what he is saying, I'm like, that's my co-host right there. I mean, what do you think, man?
Yeah.
This isn't really spoiler. There's one point that all of you know, obviously, where they're at almost like a nightclub, but it's like at an underpass, and it's like a rave scene, and the camera's flashing in and out. And I looked at my mom, and I was like, "This movie's losing me quickly." Yeah, there felt like a lot of weird sexual assault scenes that didn't feel needed, that they kept going back to. And I also read somewhere this morning that apparently large audiences have been recorded walking out halfway through this movie, if not sooner.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
At all.
So,
Yeah.
and then like, even after I said that to my mom, it did start to pull me back like a little bit after Frankenstein fucked up those dudes outside of the nightclub. Just because I was like, if it goes down like a violent path and like maybe turns into that, like I could get on board, and it didn't. So yeah, I wasn't a fan.
It's crazy to me because there's only like 4 or 5 people in my screening, which is crazy. You said yours was sold out, Connor?
Yeah, I mean maybe like 2 open seats. That
Did
I
anybody
saw.
walk out? Did you see it firsthand?
No, but one guy did get up and leave for like 20-minute segments at a time. He maybe saw like 28 minutes of the movie.
I'll say the woman next to me, like she was a couple like seats down, but like I said, there's like 5 people in the theater. She got up. I'm like, oh shit, there's a walkout, and I got it. Like at the point what was happening in the story, like that makes sense why she walked out. She came back with like food and a drink. I'm like, I don't get the mental process of like being like, you know what, I'm gonna go get a snack right now and miss like 20 minutes of the movie, but whatever. Yeah, this is something. I texted Dan right after I watched this, and I was just like, oh boy, the message that this is very feminist, pro-feminist movie, which I'm all for that. And I like that it's being directed and written by a woman. I like that it's about the bride. It's not about Frankenstein. Like they're trying to hammer that point home. We'll get into it when it comes to spoilers, but how this movie ends. This is my number 1 flaw with the movie. How this movie ends between Frankenstein and the bride completely contradicts, I think, everything that this movie is trying to go for, and it's a baffling decision.
Exactly that.
It breaks. I do not understand why the characters make the decision they're trying to make. I don't understand why Maggie Gyllenhaal made the decision she made to have it end the way that it did. It's truly baffling. I will say Jesse Buckley and Christian Bale are good actors, and they are trying their best with the material that they're given. So you don't think Christian Bale is a good actor?
What?
No, I was joking. I'm joking. I was joking. Everyone. I was joking.
Okay.
I understood you, Dan.
I got to work on my sarcasm, everyone. I'm sorry. People always think I'm being serious.
Also, this movie's pretty bold, and I like that. I do like that Maggie Gyllenhaal swung for the fences. There's an interesting incorporation of cinema throughout the entire movie. Now, when it comes to that incorporation within the actual journey that these characters go on and why they're going to certain locations around New York and Niagara Falls, I thought that was very lazy and boring. What was what was driving the movie and the plot forward.
Yeah.
But there are sequences where she manipulates the scenery and manipulates what is happening on a movie screen in a drive-in movie theater with what is actually happening in the movie. And I thought that was fascinating. And a lot of it has to do with Frankenstein's idea of love and where he gets that from. And I was like, okay, that's cool. There's also split personalities in the main character that I think is what Sumi's talking about. It's I like the idea, but the problem with that is that I cannot understand what the bride is saying whenever she goes into these rants.
Literally,
I cannot process the words that are being spoken out of her mouth, and that's super frustrating to me. Now, I do watch a lot of my media with subtitles, so I'm like, maybe this is just my subtitles brain, and I can't like process what she's saying without seeing the words. I was trying so hard, but it's just like it's supposed to be sporadic. She's supposed to be like it also, I mean, the BAFTAs, like it reminded me of Tourette's, like the way she just blurts out stuff that she's thinking. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's what she's trying to do. But then there's this whole, and I did miss like 1 to 2 minutes of the beginning of this movie, which is crazy because AMC lied to me. But I asked my brother about it, and it's basically there's a whole incorporation of Mary Shelley, and she's like, let me find somebody who, I'm not done just yet. I want to find a new vessel or something like that. So that's where a lot of that idea comes from. Anyways, what else do I have? There's a whole Chicago, everything with the police detectives in this movie, I do not find interesting at all. I think it's very boring. I don't care about them.
Felt like a different movie.
One of them is used strictly for exposition. And then also there's they try to do something. They try to incorporate Penelope Cruz's characters and what she's going on, what's happening with her life, try to make it somewhat relatable to people who are watching this film, and have that going alongside of what the bride is going through. And it felt kind of just tacked on, and everything is pretty superficial. Like Connor was saying, there's multiple scenes of SA in this, and I get having one, especially maybe at the like it constantly happens. And I think that there is more interesting ways personally, I believe. Now, I know that that does repeatedly happen to women in real life, and that's a horrific thing. But there's so many more things, in my opinion, that women are facing that you could have done instead of showing that twice. Like you show Penelope Cruz and what she's doing with in the police force, and she's being looked at as a secretary, not a real detective. Like that's interesting. But when it comes to the bride, the most fascinating person in this movie, you keep it super superficial. And that's super disappointing. There's just too much going on in this movie. And you have to, I applaud Maggie Gyllenhaal for trying to do it. It's not a boring movie. It just doesn't work. And I'll leave it at that. I just don't think the movie works with what it's trying to do, especially the ending. But we will talk about that in a moment. Dan, Mr. Real Takes.
Yeah, I think I totally understand what all you guys are saying, and I think aspects of what all of you have said I really agree with. I think for me personally, it overall sort of worked, but I think like it's kind of a situation where I think it's sort of a bad movie that I like enjoyed. Like I think there are huge issues with it, but I really enjoy the idea. Like I love the setup so much. I love opening with this idea of Mary Shelley kind of using this person that she finds as like a muse to tell this story. Um, I think we were talking earlier about um, not wanting this to release against Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. One of my biggest problems with Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, in comparison with the novel, is the skipping over of the entire attempted creation of the bride is like it's pivotal to the story. And they basically boil that down into a single conversation when he confronts him in his room, before kind of the all the falling action with the death of Elizabeth and all that, which isn't the monster's fault either in Guillermo's version. But like basically in the novel they go off together and there's an agreement that he will make him a bride. And the thing that stops Victor from going through with it is he basically thinks about them like being together and procreating, and he's like, what will they create together? And he balks at the idea of giving this creating a woman who has the capacity to create life. And that like it's such interesting stuff. And like when it's being written by Shelley at that time, I think those are really interesting ideas. And I think a lot of the focus on sexuality in this movie with that character, like I understand a lot of it is heavy-handed and it can feel repetitive, but like the focus is on sexuality in the original novel, really, and that's kind of why she's being created. She's basically being created as this prop, like for the creature. And I think the film tackling just that moment in the novel and bringing it into a new era, which kind of gives you these different like stylistic options, is really interesting and fun. Um, and I liked the characterization of, we can just call him Frank in this, like the monster that Christian Bale is playing, because they don't just make him like they could have just made it, if they really wanted to go in on this angle, he's like a complete asshole, he's evil, he's unlikable, he just wants to use her, like, and there's an element there of him being selfish, right? And like him wanting this creation that's just for him and not thinking about her at all. But there is also like a likability, there's kind of a vulnerability there. You do feel like he's lonely, and you feel kind of like his experience over the past 100 years being isolated and looking for something. You can understand that, but then also understand this still isn't right. And then obviously they're lying to her about where she even came from. So I really like a lot of the ideas and a lot of the setup. I like the performance. I love the Mary Shelley element. The ticking stuff I think is interesting. I think sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's interesting. Other times it's just like it feels a bit cringe, and I feel like Buckley is like trying so hard to make everything about it not feel that way. And I think most other actors in her shoes would have, this could have been like an all-time stinker, like truly with a lot of other actors. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of the thematic stuff really works. The mob shit, the detective story. Peter Sarsgaard is married to Maggie Gyllenhaal. He's fucking horrible in this movie. Like he has a moment where he's crying. I was cracking up. I was laughing openly at the movie. And there's a scene with like Penelope Cruz has moments too that are so bad. Like I just started laughing. Like
I'm
and
the
it all
detective.
like it feels
It's
like
like,
it felt like satire, and it feels like it's a movie that is doing a lot of really interesting things, and then it has the most ham-fisted, boring, fucking Hallmark ass storyline going on. It feels like it's from a like C movie from like 2005. Like I don't understand I don't think it was supposed to be funny. So I'm like, what are y'all doing here? And it tacks onto the runtime. Like we didn't need any of that. Like I just it felt really odd, and it felt like the filmmaker trying to reach out and put in like a conventional storyline that people would be able to digest because the rest of the movie is so odd. Um, and like if you're gonna make something like this, just make it and focus on the bride and focus on Frankenstein, and that's the most interesting stuff in the movie. So it's a really big mixed bag. It has some huge problems, but I enjoyed watching it. So I think it's not something for most audiences, but I think if people know exactly what they're going to get, and you want to take the ride, it's worth it. But this is not going to make any money at all. And I understand anyone who like hates it or thinks it's terrible. So
I just think there's, all right, spoilers. I just think there is such a, like, do you think there's such a tonal imbalance with this film? Like, I cannot believe that there's a dance number, which I like the dance number. Like, that's cool,
yeah,
that's fun, that's it feels out of place. But you know what? I like seeing that it's actually Christian Bale and Jesse Buckley. You made these actors like do a coordinated dance. That's cool. But then you have two scenes of sexual assault. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think those should be in the same movie together.
yeah.
It's just
And
Yeah.
honestly, the first scene as well is like sort of flirting with that line of assault, and like she's like drunk and then she gets pushed down the stairs. Like domestic like violence like that I think is hard, obviously, for people, and can be triggering. And I think like a lot of tests, I don't know if they had more of that stuff or it was more intense and they dialed it back, or um I don't know, but I could see that it's a really weird tonal movie. And there's also stuff in here that, like I said, I don't know if it's supposed to be funny or not. Like I don't know if it's intentionally funny or unintentionally funny, or like it's very strange. So
Yeah. That's exactly how I felt as well. I thought this was very tonally confused, and I was taken out of it completely whenever they tried to, I guess, communicate a sort of appreciation for early Golden Age Hollywood. I mean, I liked it. That was like my favorite part about the film, and the only thing that didn't make me roll my eyes, but it took me out of it completely, and it didn't fit the rest of the 100 tones that this film was trying to balance. I really struggled with that a lot.
I guess I was also just like when it came to the movies, I'm like, okay, so the plot of the plot of the movie or the plot of this journey and why they're going to these destinations is because Christian Bale likes Jake Gyllenhaal and he's finding different showings that this actor is doing, and he's going to those cities to watch movies, and that's how the police are following him.
it's the
And
only reason that's in the story. Yeah. So
I'm
they
like,
can so they
what?
can find him. Yeah.
I'm like, why not just set up police at every single showing that you know is coming up? But whatever. It's very interesting because you're not really supposed to take the setting of this movie and the time period that at like seriously, because it's like an 1800 story, but it's set in 1930s. But at times it kind of feels like the 2020s, especially with like the nightclub sequence. That's when I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
hold on, we're not staying to the time period. This doesn't feel like 1930s anymore. So which is interesting. But I was like, okay, now you're trying to do a lot of things already, and I'm like 15 minutes into the movie, but I'm trying to stay on board. Dan, can we talk about the ending? I can't stop thinking about
Yeah.
it.
So I wanted to talk to you guys about this
Okay.
because I do hear what you're saying, but I wanted to get your guys' opinion. Like, I think what, like I kind of laid out earlier, I think what makes the movie interesting is the nuance and is the kind of kindness it has towards both characters. Obviously with the focus being on like the bride, but I think it's interesting to say she's not anybody's property. She's not just the bride. She is like capable of independent thought, and she's doing what she wants to do, but she still then can have fallen in love with this guy and choose, like she's making the choice that, I can see that what happened was wrong, but there are things about this person that I do like, and he does seem to like really kind of like actually adore her and like really like her for who she is, and he um is willing to like defend her and sacrifice for her. And I think she comes to a realization over the course of the film, like she actually does like him, and even like their physical like intimacy, like she's the person choosing to like initiate that and make that happen, and I feel like she's very much in control of the story. So I don't think her making a choice at the end is like tonally inconsistent. I think it fits what the story is doing. I think it's an it's I honestly think that's more interesting than her just walking away at the end. Like you could have done that, but that would have been a bit predictable. And I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I'm interested to hear what Sumi thinks. Her opinion is probably gonna be way more interesting than mine.
I get I get what you're saying. I guess while watching this, I was anticipating her walking away in the end. And then when that didn't happen, I guess in the last 20 minutes, there were several points at which I thought this was going to end. Maybe also because I was anticipating an end and I wanted to get out so bad. But I was in multiple instances just I was like, okay, this is it. This is it. Or is she gonna walk away? I was so confused. And then when she doesn't, I was sat there a bit dumbfounded because I couldn't really understand how she, like, despite everything, still came to that conclusion and to make the decision not to do what I expected her to do. And I get what you're saying, but to me, maybe also because Christian Bale's Frank didn't work too well for me, I could never really empathize with him a lot. There wasn't a lot for me to personally work with that character. And so I don't know, maybe I guess like if you isolate the decision a little bit from the circumstances, it would make more sense, but I couldn't understand it whatsoever. I was like, why don't what? Like what is going on here?
I
Um
will say, I wanted to say too, I think to support your point, the scene at the drive-through, I don't think that was well, like that didn't make really any, like it felt so disjointed. And I also thought the movie was going to end there, but
yeah,
like she just kind of tells him to fuck off there.
Yes.
And like, and then he just gets executed by the police, and then she's
Yes.
like, "Oh, never mind." Like it, I think it feels jarring. Like I can understand the overall thing, but that scene then going into her being like really sad, it's like you just told him to leave, and then
yeah.
he died. Like I don't know. And how
That
did
is
she
the
get
number one
away?
reason. That is the number one reason why this doesn't work. Sorry, I was just the entire time. I can see Dan's point of view if that monologue is not in this movie.
Yeah.
But her being like, "I'm not Penelope. I'm not Pretty Penny. I'm not Ida. I'm not even the bride of Frankenstein. It's just the bride." And Mary Shelley's like, "Ooh, yeah, I like that. That's good." So she's like, "No, you killed him." I'm like, "What the? What do you mean? Like,
Well,
what was just that?
I
What are
mean,
we
she can still have
doing?"
conflicted feelings, right? Like she can still have the feelings of
But in that
like,
moment when she's giving that monologue, it doesn't seem like her feelings are conflicted. It's like
That's
she's
how I
finally
felt.
realized what she wants. And I'm like, cool, that's what I wanted for you too. Let's go. Fuck him. Even though he's pathetic and lonely and I kind of like him, he did lie to you this entire time and use you when fucking men have used you all of your life. So I'm like, fuck him. I
Literally.
don't care if he's Christian Bale. And then all of a sudden it's, oh no, let's lock hands at the end. I'm like, what?
yeah.
I don't care if a pathetic guy is likable and if he's Frankenstein and if he's Christian Bale. If this woman has been through so much in her life and is being lied to, and you know that's going to pop up. That's why both of us were expecting her not to end up with Frankenstein, because
For sure.
the other thing that you know is that she's going to find out he's lying, and you're expecting that to happen. And based on the exposition and the context around the film that you are given with what this character has gone through, both before death and after death, you're like, there's no way she's going to stay with him. And then she does. Because what did they do, really, that made you convinced that she was in love with him? because I understand the uniqueness of her having such a enhanced sexual desire. Like that is fascinating and that's interesting in a movie like this. But sexual desire doesn't automatically translate into love or chemistry. The fact that she wants to do that with him, I didn't see anything in the plot of the movie personally that I'm like, I think that they're in love. They're just on the run. Bonnie and Clyde, I guess that is what, you know, Maggie's trying to go for, but
Yeah. I think, I mean, I think the connection is they're both outcast, and I think they both kind of have an understanding of each other's point of view. And I think Frank is kind of like inherently outcast, and then the bride gets there because she has to turn to violence basically to protect herself or to protect him. Even though the scene in the ballroom, whatever, she just kind of like executes that cop. Like, I don't know.
dude,
Um,
Maggie Gyllenhaal gave this interview where she was like, "I'm doing something different. I want to read this to you because it's not true." I was trying to read up on this podcast episode, and she says this, and I'm like, Maggie, you didn't do that in your movie. She does this thing where she's like, I want to quote her for real, but all these ads keep popping up. Oh my gosh! But basically, Maggie, hold on. I'm so sorry. The ads are
no
really
worries,
messing
Tom.
with
Take
me.
your time.
One of the things that was important to me, this is Maggie Gyllenhaal's words about this movie. One of the things that was important to me is that everyone knows who is killed, is hurt. We at least for a moment get to know them. Fuck you don't. There's so many people who die in this movie that you're like, who are them? Like, who's the
Yeah.
guy? I love that cops surround the two of them for like 5 minutes. And then and so she can be like, bah, bah, bah. And then one random cop goes, hey. He goes, fuck.
Literally.
I
Oh my
was like, I thought he was gonna like sneak up and shoot her. And I was like, okay, that makes sense why he's going. Literally, it's like, what was I thinking about? It's like there's like a scene in like Obi-Wan, the Star Wars show, where
Oh gosh.
I don't know, the main villain of the movie like tries to sneak up behind Darth Vader and like kill Darth Vader, but before she does it, she's like, ah, like yells. It's like, shut up, but don't say a word before you're trying to do what you're trying to do. But yeah, the cop doing that, it's like, yeah, Maggie. No, there's so many people, like the guys who stomped. I guess you could be like, okay, they were rapists. Is that what I'm supposed to know about them before they die? I'm just like, there's so many people who die in this movie. Ugh.
Yeah.
Sumi, did you watch Sorry Baby?
Yes.
Okay. Is there somebody in this movie that you recognize from Sorry Baby?
In The Bride?
Oh yeah.
Wait, let me think.
I'll give you a little bit here because
He probably has like 2 minutes of screen time.
Ava
They are a
Victor-
notable 2 minutes. They're not a background character. It really makes you question like what goes through actors' minds when they accept roles. Like, what are they looking for, and do they actually think about the roles they're accepting?
Who am I missing? Like, is it
All
Peter
right,
Sarsgaard?
No, it is. His name is Louise Cancelmi. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Okay.
He is the man who is the police officer who takes her out of the car, puts her hands on the car, and does things with
Right.
her that she does not like. Well, and Sorry Baby, he is a teacher that also does things to a woman that she
Oh
does
my
not like.
god. Oh my
Yeah.
So
He's
Louis,
played back-to-back rapists, and his last name is Cancel Me. Cancelmi. That's kind of crazy. Definitely not
The jokes
pronounced
write
Cancel Me,
themselves
but
at this point. Like, oh my
Damn,
god.
that's crazy. The jokes write
Oh.
themselves. Good lord. Whew.
They do. Oh,
Cancel me. Speaking, I mean, I was like, maybe I'm reading into this too much when it came to this movie. Like I said, I think everything when it comes to feminism in this movie is just so superficial. And
I agree.
doing that makes it so uninteresting to me. And I didn't think that, I thought maybe I was the only one clocking this, and I was reading into it more than other people would. But then I listened to a podcast and someone mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, I mentioned that during the movie too. There is a scene where Jessie Buckley's yelling like she is throughout 50% of this movie. And she goes, me too,
Me
me
too.
too. And I'm
Oh
like,
my god.
Mm,
Maggie,
That one
like,
was painful.
yeah.
Maggie. Oh,
I
we even
forgot
talked
about
about too some random shit about this movie that is put in there and it's taken really right out. And I just read it from the synopsis of this film. Is this whole revolution that she's starting we see like a 15-second thing of these women in the street with her blood on her
killing
with
people.
her. I'm like,
Just
okay, what
killing
is that?
people.
And then the next time it comes up is when we are at the house at the very end, and the maid has like her makeup on her face.
Yeah. Oh
I'm like,
my God.
I'm
I
like,
thought
she's
that
part
was
of the
funny.
revolution too. Yeah, but I'm just like,
That was funny.
so this is all happening in the background when we're going to Jake Gyllenhaal movies. Like, maybe do more with that than showing your brother, Maggie. I'm sorry. That's more fascinating.
Can we really quickly? I wanted to talk about like I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was fucking hilarious in
He
this.
was.
Like the transatlantic accent, like when he was doing the singing and dancing, like I was like no, the theater was full. No one was. I was cracking up, and I was like, "This is funny, right? Like this is Maggie putting her brother in this ridiculous." Like I thought it was funny, but and I think it was being played as a joke. Like I think it was supposed to be funny, like his scenes, and then like Frankenstein is like going into the movie and being in there. Um,
See, it's hard to tell for sure in a movie like this, though, because there's such
Yeah.
serious subject matter. You're like, okay, like, is she trying to do something artsy here? Or is she trying to be funny? And then, like,
Well,
you
like-
replace that though, like, because that is funny. What is happening on the screen, these fake movies, is funny. But then at the very end, you see the bride and Frankenstein in the movie at a serious moment. So you're like, okay, am I supposed to take that seriously now? You get what I'm saying?
yeah, and I think one of the reasons I was able to get past it is like I think the tone's really fucking weird, but like for my sense of humor, I found most of the movie pretty funny, I think, but it's definitely also dealing with really serious stuff, so it is odd, but like even the dance number, like it's using the musical riff from Put It on the Ritz, which is from Young Frankenstein, which is like it's a joke. So like to me like that was fun and um it's a very odd movie, but I don't know.
I will
Like
say
it's a movie that like I can't really I would never tell anyone it's
Don't
not
watch it.
awful. Like
Oh, okay.
like but I did enjoy it. It's an odd feeling. I don't know.
I will say that dance sequence came at the perfect time, because the dance sequence came at the perfect time, because that is the most egregious moment probably where you cannot understand what the fuck Jessie Buckley is saying, because she's calling out all of these men that are sitting in this room, and it's such a long time period of her
Wait.
doing this.
Was she hearing from ghosts of women that they had? That's what happened, I believe, which wasn't clearly
I don't
communicated, but I
know.
think that's what was being said. She was hearing from ghosts of women that they had like harmed or hurt or wronged, and then that's how she was knowing what happened, but it was not clear at all.
No, Dan, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Also, she's speaking it so fast, and then she like stops talking about it, and then she goes in normal voice. I'm like, wait, what was that? And now we're speaking again in another voice about something else, and I'm just like, I really want my subtitles.
Yeah.
I miss them right now.
Yeah, and
So when that dance sequence came right after that, I'm like, thank God, this is fun.
and you guys talked about it, but like the movement thing of just like it seemed to just be like women were just kind of like killing men and like you know that's fun, but like I like I said, I do think there's really interesting stuff here in terms of like the source material and what Maggie is thinking about how she wants to communicate this, and then it's just like I don't know, that feels a little lazy, and I what's the point of that, and what's that actually? I don't know.
Yeah.
I It just felt a little heavy-handed, and then like you said, it's just kind of gone immediately. So, how did you feel about Annette Bening, Sumi? You said you're a fan of her.
I really like her, and I didn't even know that she was in this before before the screening started. And then when I recognized her, I was like, "Oh my God, interesting." I really like her as an actress, and I'm curious to see where she takes this. I really, really struggled to see her chemistry with any character that she was involved with. And some of the line delivery, I mean, this goes for all of them, honestly. A lot of the line delivery, when you can understand it, is very clumsy, in my opinion. Um, strangely directed. I really can't even tell if this came from Maggie Gyllenhaal or the actors themselves, but I was really disappointed because I love Annette Bening. I think, again, like I said this before, she's one of the most underrated actresses of all time. So it just like she lost me, just like everybody except for Jessie Buckley a bit, I guess. Like really, really strange.
I also thought it was weird that like we have her character in the opening does not feel like the same character when you come back to her at the end, and she
Yeah.
basically, and I wasn't sure if they were trying to show that she was so open to help Frank because he was a man, but then when it's a woman asking, she's dismissive. I'm not like sure if that's what was be intended, but it felt like she's this woman who's so interested in science. Why would she say no? And why would she not want to help? Like even then, she's still helping the man that she already was interested in wanting to help. Like she's bringing him back to life. And then I think that's what they were going for, but it felt a little odd. And also just like the very end with just a flat, all the police are right outside, and there's a fucking nuclear blast flash of light in the
No.
building, and they're not going to be like, "Hey, what just happened? Should we go?" Like, how did they get away? Just like how did they get away when they were in the middle of all the cops in the dance scene? Just like how did she get away at the drive-in when they're being she's being shot at, and she just like Neo from the Matrix is through the bullet? I don't know. There's some
Prob-
silliness in the story,
Probably
but
the cringiest moment to me, unfortunately, and I think it's supposed to be a very powerful moment, is when all those police officers are firing at the bride, and unfortunately, she is dead. And then this random woman who's there
she
goes,
gets shot like
"Stop!"
1,000 times.
I know. I was like, bro, guys, chill. This random woman who's there, random, putting that in quotes, goes, "Stop, stop, 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 hold your fire." And I was thinking in the back of my mind, I was like, do these guys know who she is? And then all of a sudden the police chief's like, "Hey, who the fuck are you?" And she's like, I don't know. She's like, "I'm ordering you to put these down." They're like, "Only the detectives are taking over." They're like, "You ain't a detective." And she's like, "Yes, I am." I'm like,
That was
like,
just god awful.
I
and then
lost
it,
it.
and then
I
it,
was
and then it
cracking
keeps
up.
going. And then it keeps going. She's like, "Doctor, you take as much time as you need. I'm gonna be outside."
It just felt a bit like
Oh,
like something that should have been a group dance choreographed by Abby Lee Miller on Dance Moms. Like that's the
give me
only
another
way I
dance
can put
sequence.
it.
That'd have been
Like,
sick.
yeah. I was like, "Oh my God."
I wished. I think if you're going to do something like this, like make it a musical. Like make the entire thing, and I feel like you can solidify the tone that way.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that would have been so much fun. And that's that we didn't talk about like this. It's getting a lot of Joker 2 comparisons.
I was
Sumi,
just thinking that.
how did you feel about that movie?
Didn't
Didn't like
even
it.
see
Okay.
it.
Okay. It's fucking bad. It's mostly really boring. And it's another movie where like that they actually did go the musical route, but none of it was interesting. I feel like this is a movie where like it could have been interesting, and like I think there was a lot of creativity there where it could have been a lot of fun. And I wish they had gone full into that route because I think that could have been really cool. And like Jesse Buckley can sing, like I don't
They could have
know.
changed it, Dan. I mean, you think about how long these movies are in pre-production, and maybe Maggie was writing the script, and maybe it was more of a musical. But then, when she's writing the scripts in fall of 2024, and all of a sudden everyone hates this, very similarly coded Joker folie
Yeah.
à deux with
Bonnie and Clyde crime movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's like, "Yeah, maybe we'll just do one, and then we'll add Monster Mash at the end. That'd be a fun little thing there." That was funny.
Yeah. I thought
I
it was
was-
people are hating on that choice. I thought it was funny too. Like, I don't know.
I also think, unfortunately, this movie is very poorly edited. There's two instances of that. One of them is not small, but the other one's small, and I'm just like, it just felt so out of place. I hate giant fucking text with cities on it, especially in a movie like this where it's like Niagara Falls.
Feels very
Honestly,
Netflix.
Honestly, you don't need to tell me that that's Niagara Falls because you don't fucking see Niagara Falls. So it could have just been some other random movie theater. And they don't go that many places. They go 3. I think you just see Chicago, New York, and Niagara Falls. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not necessary. And then also, during that whole shootout. I think they're starting to have the shootout at the very end. There's this random setup shot that was a very quick moment where, there's a shot of the Jesse getting, or the shot of the bride getting shot of the police, maybe a shot of John Magaro. All of a sudden, there's this very much setup shot of Penelope Cruz, and the camera is zooming in on her, and then it just cuts away. I'm like, was that meant to be a more dramatic moment? Like, why would you just, like, the way that it was filmed was different for a split second, only on Penelope Cruz's character, and then it cut away, and I was like, it just seems messy. So it's unfortunate.
There's a good amount of like just teleporting in this movie. Like they're in Niagara Falls, then they're in Illinois. Like you're in the 1930s. Like there's no fucking road. Like we're just teleporting. And it kind of, a lot of that happens throughout the movie. That I think that was a little bit jarring, and it's hard to keep track of like what's going on and who's where and how much time has passed. I don't know.
I was thinking about it, Dan, with our conversation, and maybe it's be a good way to wrap this up, because like me and Sumi's biggest issue is maybe the ending of this movie. And I think the ending of this movie could have worked in one circumstance. Obviously without that fucking monologue. But it's if Christian Bale, if Frankenstein, if you project him as more of a rude, mean individual towards the bride. Because I think you could say that this is an allegory for an abusive relationship. How people go back to people who have done them wrong. Now, maybe that's too heavy of a final message throughout this entire narrative, but the fact that you make him likable, I think you completely eliminate that being a possibility. Because my brother, he was like, maybe people could see it that way, but I'm like, he was kind of nice to her, besides lying to her fucking face the entire movie. So
yeah, he does seem to like somewhat have respect for her, like, but again, the fundamental nature of how she was created is wrong, and which is why the movie was made. Like that is the point. Um, it is weird, and I think I had the same fucking problem with Guillermo del Toro. Like, I feel like there's a fear to make the monster too much of a monster because then like that's what they did with the Lordy. He's like a fucking superhero. Like, and he's so clean cut and nice. And it's like in the book, he's murdering children. He's murdering women. He kills his brother. Like he kills everyone. And then Victor's father dies. Like he destroys his entire life. He's a monster because he was made and then neglected. And then that's what he knows. Like it's okay to show that and have nuance. It doesn't have to be super clean cut monster is the good guy and Victor bad guy. He's the real, like we know that, but show us the story. And maybe there's a fear here that maybe there was a similar fear and this need to make him nicer than he has to be. I don't know.
I will say Frankenstein's pretty lucky, because I don't know if I missed something, but it looks like they dug up one body and it's a pretty hot woman. So he struck. How do they find her? How do they like he struck? I mean, don't they uncover his face and he's like, holy shit, she's too hot. Like, I need a more ugly woman, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's like something he says there. I was like, did you guys just get lucky on your first time and find like a recently deceased woman from the mafia? Like how did that go? Also, I love the fact that this is only written by Maggie Gyllenhaal. I mean, there's a lot of big ideas in this, but there's also, it's a very singularly driven movie when it comes to the direction of it. So I like that. I love Maggie just sitting at a desk one day and being like, you know what would be so fucking funny for this character is that if I name her Ida, right? So that she can be like, I don't know. I don't care. I'm like, that'd be a great, if she used her name as a pun during like one of the most intense moments, that'd be so fucking funny. Let me write that in real quick. I was like, if she only named Ida, that way she could do puns off her name. That's something I personally thought of.
Yeah. And I'm glad Maggie made this, and I'm I think it was an impressive idea. But at the end of the day, this script is fucking bad. Like the script is just bad, and I feel like it hangs all the actors out to dry. And like, I don't think Penelope Cruz and Peter Sarsgaard are like the best actors in the world, but they're not like Razzie level actors. And Peter Sarsgaard crying,
Oh my God.
There can't be a take that's in the movie. Like it's the
No.
worst. It's the worst take. It's the one of the worst moments I've seen in a fucking movie in years. Like it's just he's not crying. He's just pretending. So I don't
I did
know.
not know that they were married. That's pretty telling that he's married to Maggie Gyllenhaal. I did not know that. And he's also just he's the only man, really. I mean, depending on your perception of Frankenstein and how he uses the bride in this movie, but he's like the only man that's kind of a good person, a good guy. All the other ones are like awful, evil
I wouldn't
people.
say he's a good guy.
That's what they want you to think. And then he kind of just exposition dumps, and you're like, okay, that's how this all comes
I
together.
think he's
guess.
presented as like the guy who like pretends to be helpful or nice, and then it's just like he doesn't actually step in when anything is wrong. He doesn't say anything when something's happening. He just is like, whatever. Like, so I get it. I just don't think it's a very good performance. And John Magaro, like,
That's a
why
weird
is he in the
character, too.
movie? Like,
That's a weird character. Also, what happened to the mob? Like, is the mafia, like, are they good? Is Lupino, that big mob boss who collects tongue, is he just chilling for the sequel? Like,
no. Did you see the post credits shit?
you're
There's a-
kidding.
there's a- So you guys may have bolted. I stayed
Yeah.
there through the monster mash. Okay, so this is what happened. Spoilers.
Marvel pilled down here, be like, maybe there's an end credit scene.
So the revolutionary killer women show up to Lupino and they kidnap him and they cut out his tongue.
Oh, they come back. Well, maybe you should
Okay.
do
Yeah.
that for the very end. Maybe you should put that in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Dan,
That's
I have
what
to ask you
happens.
a very challenging question. So you just
Okay.
said you like this movie because it is a
Yeah.
bold idea, and you think why did this movie work for you and Wuthering Heights didn't?
because this movie actually knows what the fuck is going on in the source material. This movie understands Maggie Gyllenhaal understands Frankenstein, I think. I think she understands The Bride. I think she understands that moment. And I think she had a really good idea that works. And like again, like Guillermo del Toro, that movie has very little to do with Frankenstein. And like that's how I felt about Wuthering Heights. It's like if you're going to use the name, like take risks, do something crazy, change the setting, whatever. But like the core ideas should be there. Like just keep the core ideas. And like Wuthering Heights just kind of takes a shit on the novel. And like that's what I would say. I think this understands it and then makes a lot of mistakes that aren't related to its understanding of the intention of the novel, I guess, if that makes sense.
I will say everything with Mary Shelley is a fascinating idea. That is a very
Opening, I was like,
interesting
"Oh,
idea.
this is cool as shit. I like this."
Yeah.
Like, yeah. The black and white. I was
Also-
like, "All right."
When she's giving her monologue, isn't there like at the very end, isn't there a scene with Mary Shelley and be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, the bride? Yeah, you're just the bride. And then she still gets with Frankenstein. It's just like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they show Mary Shelley in her mind being like, this is what we want.
The other thing is Mary Shelley, I think, possesses Euphronius to I believe. I think again, this is something that's implied and not really well shown, but that's why she then makes the decision to reinvigorate them. That's Mary Shelley through Euphronius taking control of the situation.
I was so out of it by that
Well,
point. I had
there is
no
like
idea.
there is like a speech going on where it's like, this is one of the greatest stories ever told. We shall do it. So that is going on. There's so much talking and yapping by the bride would be great on TikTok because she's just like going talking a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
I will say a lot of people, I didn't even think about this, but I think we got a better version of this movie like 2.5 years ago with Poor Things. And I saw a lot of people talking about that. I was like, oh yeah, that is basically Frankenstein recreated with a lot of feminist ideas. And it's just way more fascinating because I think that Yorgos Lanthimos is just all respect to Maggie Gyllenhaal, just a more interesting filmmaker when it came to like that story structure. Now that is an adaptation, I believe, from a novel. So maybe that's how the story goes. And that's why he was helped out a lot. But I think that works a lot more personally than The Bride does. And I mean, this is Maggie's second movie, so maybe she'll get there.
Yeah. Did you like Poor Things, Sumi?
I never watched it. I know it's really,
shit.
really bad, but
No,
I
I
don't
mean-
even know why. but I never watched it, and now I'm even more intrigued to see what I'll think, because I love Emma Stone, and I quite enjoy Yorgos Lanthimos' work, even though it's not always for me. But yeah, exactly what you said. Like, it's kind of like what's going on with all of these Frankenstein-esque universe adaptations? It really seems to be having, or seems to have been having, a moment for a couple of years.
Yeah, I think people really like gothic horror, and I think
Yeah,
like Nosferatu like showed there was a
Nosferatu, yeah.
market for that. Like Wuthering Heights like is gothic horror, and then wasn't.
Yeah.
Um, but I think there's always a market for it. And they're great stories. Like that's why we get so excited, I think, because the stories are interesting and there's a lot there to do. And the thing is, this hadn't really been done before. Like the 1935 movie, and Maggie talked about this, like the bride's on screen for 3 fucking minutes of
Yeah.
85 minutes. It's not about her. It's about the monster. And like I think she just, wanted to do something that hasn't really been done, which is cool. But it didn't come out the best.
My brother mentioned this. I ran about like 3 miles this morning, and my brother called me during the beginning of it, so that helped me out a lot because it made the 3 miles go by really quick, even though they didn't. I was running at a very slow pace, but that's why I keep on talking about my brother, because me and him were just discussing this movie, and he gave such an interesting reason why Poor Things works and this one doesn't. Is because the men in this movie, even though they are based on things that men do in real life, they're a lot less relatable. And they're a lot less of the, like, you don't see men like this in public all the time. They don't do this in public because it is shamed. That's why this takes place in the 1930s and not 2026. When it comes to some of this stuff, that's why I'm like, when it came to her getting sexually assaulted twice, I'm like, there's more things that we can do that show that men treat and mistreat women. And the thing with Poor Things, even though it is such a fantastical story with incredible production design and set pieces, like Mark Ruffalo's character in that movie is so pathetic. And the way that he manipulates Emma Stone at the beginning, and then when she realizes, I'm not trying to spoil anything for you, but when she gets her mind in the right spot, when she matures and she's like, this guy's fucking pathetic. Look what he's doing to me. He becomes this whiny little bitch. And it's just like, it's way more interesting than watching the teacher from Sorry Baby beat himself over again. I'm just like, that also didn't make sense. Oh, it frustrates me so much. When that scene takes place in the movie, doesn't make sense with what is happening in the movie, really, because they're being chased by the police. So you would think if a police
They
car
know
is
who they
behind
are,
them,
yeah.
you think, do they know who they are? And he's just like taking advantage of them and doesn't care.
That's sort of what I assume, because there's a national manhunt. They're in the news. It doesn't, if that's not the case, doesn't make any sense. But
I don't
Yeah.
know. There's a lot of assuming in this movie. I think
Yeah.
she's possessed. I think there was ghost women.
yeah. And I wouldn't say that doesn't happen in public. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't
Yeah,
say that. But like, I understand what you're saying, where Poor Things is like every single man in the movie, except for one, the movie is making fun of in a really
yes.
vicious way, but in a really funny way. And this just feels a little bit more
They're just monstrous all the
heavy-handed
time,
and yeah.
which I guess fits the tone of the movie. Yeah, I would say, like, I guess it's more common to see Mark Ruffalo's in the world when it comes to women, thankfully, rather than
This
what happens in
yeah.
this movie.
And the other aspect of this too is like this is written by a woman and Poor Things is written by a man, so it's probably easier for a man to be a bit lighter about it, and a woman might have an
Yeah.
angrier perspective about this shit, which I understand. And I think this movie does feel really angry in the same way I feel like The Substance felt angry,
Mhm.
and was also very blunt. And I get that, and I can understand that. So I think that's another thing to.
So fucking leave that man at the end then. Be angry. Fuck him. That's what I'm saying. Don't
Yeah.
you hold hands with him? He lied to
agree.
you. Damn, that's so upsetting.
Yeah, that wouldn't have like I think that would have worked. I totally see what you guys are saying, and I did think the drive-in scene was not well done.
Well, that was a great conversation on The Bride. Sumi, thanks for joining us. I'm glad.
Thank you for
I was
having
really,
me.
if you like, it would have been crazy if you were like, dude, this is my number one movie of the year. Like, the contrast in this episode would have been wild. But no, I'm glad that we got to see or got to hear your perspective on this. Sorry that we were yapping so much. I'm
Oh my
sorry I'm
God,
a
don't worry.
yapper. I said I want to hear, from you as much as possible, but I also want other people to as well. So if you want to tell them where they could find you again, I think you said at the beginning what you do, but not where to find you. So that's important.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm Sumi Merkulich on TikTok, same on Instagram and on Substack as well. That's where you can find me for now. Yeah. That's where I'll
There you
be. Not going anywhere. Yeah.
Awesome. We're not going anywhere either. I mean, we are. We're about to sign off. But I will say, I believe next week, it'll be a little bit tricky. We haven't actually talked about this, so you're going to see this conversation a little bit in real time. It's like the Oscars are next week. I'm going to be at South by Southwest, but I have set time aside for the Oscars. So maybe we'll do a live episode afterward. Not live, but record an episode afterwards talking about it. That'll be a late night. Dan, there's going to be a lot of yawning from Dan if we do that. So we'll see. But anyways, we will talk about the Oscars next week, more than likely. So please, everyone, look forward to that. Go check out Sumi, all of her content. Let us know what you thought about The Bride. Let us know if you liked Christian Bale's Frankenstein as much as Dan did. Let us know if what you thought about Monster Mash, about the dance sequence. Was there ghost women? Let us know. But until next week, please go outside, sit on a park bench, touch some grass, call up your friends, watch a good movie, and we'll see you then. Peace out, everybody.